أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الغر الميامين ولعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى يوم الدين ما بعد. فقد قال سيدنا ومولانا أبو محمد العسكري عليه الصلاة والسلام اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد المؤمن بركة على المؤمن والحجة على الكافر. صدق مولانا أبو محمد العسكري عليه الصلاة والسلام. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before we inshallah start, we would like to supplicate in the barakah of Allah Almighty by raising our hands and by giving the wasila of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhim as-salam. Allahumma bihaqqi Fatimata wa abiha wa ba'liha wa baniha alayhim as-salam. Ya Allah, we all have gathered here with supplications that we have regarding this world and the hereafter. Ya Allah, please fulfill all of those hajats. Ya Allah, marhameen, especially those marhameen, their names were displayed on the screen. जिनके साले सवाब की आज मजलिस मुनक़िद की जा रही है, या Allah. They used to be part of these majalises. Unfortunately, they are not with us anymore. Ya Allah, we ask you to forgive all of their sins. Ya Allah, we ask you to elevate all of their statuses. Ya Allah, we further ask you that we are awaiting for the reappearance of Imam Sahibul Zamana Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Ya Allah, allow us to be one of his companions and one of his supporters. And Ya Allah, you must be following all the news that are happening. The people that are being massacred in Middle East, especially the believers in Lebanon and the people that are being massacred in Palestine. We ask Allah Almighty that, Ya Allah, please ease the difficulty of the people that are going through so many difficulties. And Ya Allah, we ask you further, and the most important dua, Ya Allah, that when we leave this world, allow us to leave this world in the state of Iman and faith, inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sometimes we reflect upon the blessings that Allah has bestowed us, the things that Allah has given us, the favors that Allah has given us, and they are so immense and there is so much that it is like impossible for us to count with the limited knowledge that we're being bestowed upon. And the biggest blessing that we have, and I always repeat this, but in a different way of course, is the blessing of Al-Muhammad alayhimus salam. And when you reflect upon the personalities of Al-Muhammad alayhimus salam, and I would like to talk about a little bit today inshallah about the 11th Imam, because at the end of the day, the month of Rabi al-Thani is associated with Imam Hassan ibn Ali al-Askari alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. But before I do so, Al-Muhammad alayhimus salam are those that have solved the difficulties of living in this dunya. They are the ones that have given you the solution of how to overcome the difficulties and the things that you're going through in this dunya. They are the same people that have taken the guarantee of yours on the day of judgment too. Let me quote inshallah two riwayah for each thing. One is that, we are being told so many times that it's very imperative upon us, it is very important for us to recite and offer our prayers in the early timing. So there's a riwayah that Sheikh Tusi has quoted, and I'm going to tell you the reasons for the way the things are being there, right? What are the reasons? Why is it so that we're being told to recite something, to recite our prayers, to offer our prayers at the earliest timing, right? And this tells us the way Al-Muhammad alayhimus salam have given you literally reasoning for everything that you have in your mind. And a very important book is called Ilal al-Shara'i of Sheikh Suduq. If you go through, I'm not sure if it's been translated into English or not, but very important book. It's there in English, Urdu and Farsi. You go through, Ilal al-Shara'i basically means the reasons for all of the things that are being given to you by the Sharia. Why certain things are given to you in a certain ways. And you have so many riwayas from Imam Baqir, Imam Sadiq, Imam Qadhi, Imam Radha, from all of the Imams of Al-Muhammad alayhi salam. Likewise, You have another book by Sheikh Sudook, a very important book, and I think this book is being translated into English too. That book is called Uyun al-Akhbar al-Rida alayhi salatu wasalam. It talks about some of the reports, some of the debates, and some of the discussions that Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida alayhi salatu wasalam had with different scholars, right? That's another book that I would recommend that talks about different reasonings for different things that take place. Likewise, you have a very beautiful book, and I think that is being translated into English too. That book is called Kitab al-Tawheed of Sheikh Sudook, right? Now, there's a difference between the Shia belief of Tawheed and the non-Shia belief of Tawheed. And there are so many differences that comes in. Of course, we believe that there is only one creator. Of course, we believe there is only one entity that is worthy to be worshipped. There's no debate about it, but the debate actually comes in, or the discussion actually comes in when it comes to the further details of what are the sifat, what are the traits and characteristics of the creator, what are some of the things that we should absolve Allah Almighty from, and all those discussions, that is very theological. But you know, the interesting thing that we have is that within Kitab al-Tawheed of Sheikh Sudook, we just don't have the tenets of Aqidah. We just don't have the statements and declaration of the Aqidah. We have the reasoning for the Aqidah to whatever Aqidah we have, right? And likewise, you go to Sheikh Kulayni's book Al-Kafi, and within Al-Kafi you go to Kitab al-Tawheed. Within Kitab al-Tawheed you would understand the unity, or the belief in the unity of Allah Almighty, the oneness of Allah Almighty. How do we perceive the oneness of Allah Almighty? What are some of the things that we absolve and we deny from the traits of Allah Almighty? And what are some of the attributes that we prove for Allah Almighty? And what are some of the reasonings that we have? It's a very beautiful book by Sheikh Sudook, Kitab al-Tawheed. You go through each and every reasoning by Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad alayhi wasallam. Likewise, the riwayah that I'm quoting is from Tahdhib al-Ahkam of Sheikh Tusi. The riwayah is very beautiful. It talks about the reason why certain prayers are given more importance than others, right? Alhamdulillah, you have supplementary prayers and you have wajib prayers, the obligatory. Within, if you compare both supplementary and obligatory, the wajib comes before the mustahab, of course, right? It's entirely mustahab. It's very mustahab to recite the supplementary prayers. It's so much mustahab that if you're not able to do it in the regular time, it is entirely mustahab to make qada of it. Right? Let's suppose during the time of Dhuhr and Asr, I'm not able to do the supplementary prayers. When I come back to home, it's mustahab for me to repeat it. But that's not the topic. Within the obligatory prayers, within the wajib prayers, Fajr and Maghrib, they are very different than others. Right? And even the Tawdihul Masail you go through, sometimes you'll get this masla too, that, you know, mashallah, all prayers are very important, but Fajr and Maghrib has its own importance. Why is it so? The riwayah is from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. And why is it important to recite both of these prayers at the earliest timing that we could? Please focus here. Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam is being reported to have said, Kana yusalli salat al-ghadati, that he used to recite his morning prayers bighalsin. Ghalsin means that he used to recite his prayers in the morning in darkness. Right? Darkness. Darkness means as soon as the time of the Fajr would come in, he wouldn't wait for the light to appear. He would pray the Fajr time at the earliest. And then he would make a statement. He would say, وَذَلِكَ قُرْآنَ الْفَجْرِ إِنَّ قُرْآنَ الْفَجْرِ كَانَ مَشْهُودًا. This is an ayah of the Quran. That this is the time of the dawn. This is the time of the Fajr. And indeed, the time of the Fajr is being witnessed. Then the narrator who was quoting this riwayah, he narrates further that Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam elucidates and explains his point in a little bit more detail. He says that during the time of the Fajr, kana malaikatul layl tas'adu wa malaikatul nahari tanzilu. Remember, now how's it different than other time? During the time of the Fajr, there is a group of angels that is ascending towards the heavens, and there's a group of angels that is descending towards the earth. The one that are ascending towards the heaven are the angels of the night, and the one that are coming from the heavens to the earth are the angels of the day. He says, فَإِنِّي أُحِبُّ أَن تَشْهَدَ صَلَاتِي مَلَائِكَةُ اللَّيْلِ وَمَلَائِكَةُ النَّهَارِ. And this is very beloved for Ja'far ibn Muhammad, that when he is praying at the time of Fajr, both the groups that are going and that are coming, they both witness the Salah of Ja'far ibn Muhammad at that time. Reasoning. Why is it so? And I don't act upon it, to be honest. Sometimes I have alarms, and one last alarm is just 2 minutes before the time of sunrise, isn't it? It happens with so many of us, right? I think it's very important. The time of Sahar, the time right before Fajr, and the prime time of the Fajr is a very important time. And likewise, he used to do the same during the time of Maghrib too. Why? Before the stars would appear, before the darkness would overcome, he would offer his Salatul Maghrib too. Why? Because the same time, there's a group of angels that are descending and a group of angels that are ascending towards the heavens. Right? So again, very important. कि जब गवाही देने वाले आए, इन्नल क़ुरआन अल फ़ज्र काना मशहूदा, verily the time of the dawn is the time which is being witnessed by Allah Almighty. Right? And Allah, of course, is witnessing us every time, but the witness means when He is witnessing through His angels, right? So you have the reasoning that is given to you by Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Likewise on the Day of Judgment. On the Day of Judgment, we have the wasila and the rope of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhimus salam. Reflect upon the riwayah that is being given to you by Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Radha alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Very beautiful riwayah. It says, Man zarani ala bu'di dari wa mazari ataytuhu yawm al-qiyamati hatta ukhallisuhu min ahwaliha. That whosoever would visit my shrine, whosoever would visit my grave, and if he is coming from far land and he is visiting me in this land of Tus, I would come and meet him at 3 moments on the Day of Judgment and would rescue him, would liberate him from the orders, from the dread, from the suffering that somebody might be going on the Day of Judgment. You know, you have so many leaders in this dunya, and they are very eloquent. They are very nice when it comes to their speech. They are very good when it comes to giving you the solutions in this dunya. They are very good when it comes to guiding you. But none of them can ever take the guarantee on the Day of Judgment. If there are infallibles that can take guarantee of this ummah, there are none others than Muhammad wa al-Muhammad alayhimus salam. The riwayah says, Imam Ali ibn Musa Allah says that I will come and meet him on the Day of Judgment at 3 places. إِذَا تَطَايَرَتُ الْكُتُبِ يَمِينًا وَشِمَالًا وَعِنْدَ الصِّرَاطِ وَالْمِيزَانِ. The 3 moments that I would come in. When your book of deeds would be weighted, your good deeds would be on one balance, and your bad deeds would be, or the transgressions that you have done would be on the other scale. When the both would be weighted, I would come and assist you at that moment. That moment is called what? That moment is called the moment of Mizan. And when your book of deeds would be given to your right hand and the left hand, Imam Ali ibn Musa Radha alayhi salatu wasalam would be there to help his Shia, to help the people that would visit him in his shrine, and he would make sure that the Shias and the followers of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad would get their book of deeds in their right hand, وَعِنْدَ الصِّرَاطِ. And when the believers would be going from the bridge over the hellfire, if there would be someone coming to rescue you, there would be none other than Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhi salam. Right? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We reflect upon this. Then you reflect upon the ziyarah. The ziyarah is very important. You go to Samarra. Samarra is a beautiful place. It's beautiful because of the people that are buried there. It's not beautiful because of the people that are living there. It happened with us when we were going, right? Suddenly we went to get some bread, and people were just looking like, who's the Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib coming in to get bread from us, right? Dangerous place to be there, right? Same place when ISIS attacked in 2014. Out of 7 neighborhoods of Samarra, 5 neighborhoods were under the control of Daesh. Difficult moment, right? That's why people that have gone few years back, they were the witness to the destruction that took place too. Isn't it? That happened, right? So all of them are not very friendly, but some of them are friendly, of course. That's why I say that Baghdad itself does not have any value. Baghdad has a value because Musa bin Ja'far and Imam Jawad are buried there. Karbala itself would not have so much value. It has value because Abu Abdullah is buried there. Najaf and Kufa itself would not have so much value. It has value because the commander of the faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, is buried there. Right? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. When you go to Samarra and when you take a peek inside the Zarih, you would see there few graves. There's the grave of Imam Hadi alayhi salatu wasalam. There's the grave of Imam Hassan ibn Ali al-Askari. And then you have the grave of Sayyida Hakima bint Imam Jawad, daughter of Imam Jawad. Somebody who was the witness to the wilada of Imam Sahib al-Zaman, right? The mashhur, the very important riwayat that you have from Kamaluddin, Sheikh Suduq quotes, is from none other than Sayyida Hakima. She explains and she talks about the way Imam Sahib al-Zaman was born. Likewise, you have the fourth grave, and that grave belongs to Sayyida Narjis Salamullahi alayha. So you have 4 graves there. And when you go there, you recite the ziyarah, and anyone can Google it out. If they have mafati, they can look into it. When you're reciting the ziyarah, there's a ziyarah that you recite for both Imam Hadi and Imam Hassan ibn Ali al-Askari. For Imam Hadi and Imam Askari. Very beautiful ziyarah. And as you're reciting the ziyarah, these are the comments, or these are the things that you would say while you're reciting the ziyarah. Now I want all of you to focus the supplication. एक दुआ मैंने मांगी थी शुरू में, एक दुआ आले मोहम्मद ने मुझे तालीम की. अब आप उस दुआ को मुलाहिज़ा कीजिए. The way Imam alayhi salatu wasalam has taught us to supplicate to Allah Almighty while you are reciting the ziyarah for the 10th and the 11th Imam. So see how beautiful. And that's going to relate us to the topic of Imam Hassan ibn Ali al-Askari. Let's visit the words, because these words are very important. It says, As'aluhu an yu'tika raqabati minan nar. Oh, Al-Muhammad alayhi salam. I'm going to use, especially it's used for the 10th and 11th, but I'm going to use in general. Oh, Al-Muhammad alayhi salam. You are my mediator. I ask Allah Almighty, I beseech Allah Almighty, I plead to Allah Almighty by giving the wasil of the 10th and the 11th Imam, that Allah rescue me, Allah liberate me from the hellfire. Sab same dua. Even when you are reciting the dua after every salah in month of Ramadan, you ask Allah Almighty, or in the month of Rajab, you ask Allah Almighty to liberate you from the hellfire. First thing. وَيَرْزَقُنِي شَفَاعَتَكُمَا وَمُصَاحَبَتُكُمَا. Oh Allah, I ask you by the wasila of the 10th and the 11th Imam, you give me the mediation in intercession and the shafa'at of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhi salam. The third thing, وَأَلَّا يُفَرِّقَ بَيْنَنِي وَبَيْنَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمَا. And I ask Allah Almighty that He never creates a distance, even for a blinking of an eye, between me and Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So beautiful words, right? The way your relation should be with Al-Muhammad alayhi salam. And I always focus it. You're coming here on Thursday nights. You're coming here on Friday. You're coming here on Saturday or Sunday. You're coming here for different wilada and shahada. Right? It's beautiful that you're coming here. But if you're coming here, remember these words of the ziyarah. Because at the end of the day, it's going to help us in return, inshallah. The fourth dua that you ask is very beautiful. وَأَلَّا يَسْلَبُنِي حُبَّكُمَا وَحُبَّ آبَائِكُمَا الصَّالِحِينَ. I ask Allah Almighty that He never removes the love and affection that I have for both of you and for the whole Al-Muhammad alayhi salam. وَلَا يَجْعَلَ آخِرَ الْأَهْدِي مِنِّي إِلَيْكُمَا وَإِلَى زِيَارَتِكُمَا. And I ask Allah Almighty that He does not make my ziyarah as my last ziyarah. He does not make my visit as my last visit. That's why you see when we are reciting the ziyarah for Muhammad wa ali Muhammad after every namaz or after every majlis, it's just not a tradition that we do. It has its basis too, that Ya Allah, whenever I recite my ziyarah, do not make that as my last ziyarah. One last thing that you ask Allah Almighty, and you ask Allah Almighty is وَأَن يَحْشُرُنِي مَعَكُمَا بِرَحْمَتِهِ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. Oh Allah Almighty, I ask you that you resurrect me, you make me among the ranks of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad in the same paradise where they are residing on the day of judgment, Ya Allah. पर दुआ यहाँ ख़त्म नहीं होती, अब वो जुमला आता है, Allahumma il'an ظالمي آل محمد حقهم وأنتقم منهم. Oh Allah, that the people that have persecuted Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, oh Allah, the people that have wronged against Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, oh Allah, the people that have snatched the rights of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, send your la'an, withdraw your mercy from them. And oh Allah, avenge for whatever crime that they have committed against Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma il'an awwalina minhum wal akharina minhum wa dha'if alayhim al-'adhab innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. Oh Allah, the predecessors that were responsible for persecuting Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, the people that followed them at the later stages, Ya Allah, send your la'an upon them. Oh Allah, make the punishment and retribution that you have given to them multifold, for verily you have control over everything. Right? So why is it important for us? Important for us that we reflect when you are saying your salam, at least for a moment. Unfortunate situation is that when we're going to Samarra, it's always a trip for a day, right? Fajr time, the Iraqi driver would give you the time of the Fajr, 4 o'clock. But he is not going to come before 6 o'clock. So your 2 hours are actually wasted there. 6 o'clock he would come in, then you will go to Balad. Immediately you'll do the Ziyara, and afterwards you will rush towards Samarra. Time of Dhuhr you come in, you go to the washroom, you do your wudu, you pray, and by the time you have to go back again. And then you will run towards Qadhumain. Within Qadhumain you will be there for an hour, and then you will come back to either Najaf or Karbala. MashaAllah, within a day all 4 Imams are done. Sometimes I reflect, the groups that we are going, I understand, logistically it's not possible, I understand. But sometimes we have to manage somehow, then at least that we can spend a little bit time in the dwelling of the 10th and the 11th Imam. Because these places are Mazloom. Baghdad, when you go, Qadhumain is what? Is a Shia neighborhood. Karbala is a Shia neighborhood. Najaf is a Shia neighborhood. Mashhad is a Shia neighborhood. But Samarra is a difficult place, of course. So when you go there, try to show your presence. Try to be there for few, maybe for a couple of hours at least. The people who are taking the group, they should be a little bit mindful of how important it is for them to have the good time that you can spend, a good qualitative time, and reflect upon different ziyarah, reflect upon different du'as that you have. Within it, then you have to go to the basement, you have to recite namaz, and so many things are happening that you lose the focus of beautiful words that you're reciting in front of the 10th and 11th Imam. Let's come to the main topic that I wanted to speak. And that topic concerns us. Before I do so, Imam Hassan ibn Ali al-Askari has a very beautiful saying. It says, فَبُعْدًا وَسُحْقًا لِمَنْ يَرْغَبُ عَنْ طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ وَطَاعَةِ رَسُولِهِ وَلَمْ يَقْبَلْ مَوَاعِظَ أَوْلِيَائِهِ. Woe and destruction be upon them. Sorrow and grief for those people that do not follow the instructions of Allah and His Messenger, and they do not accept the messages that is being conveyed to them by the lovers of Allah Almighty, by the people who are close to Allah Almighty. إِنَّمَا أَمَرُكُمُ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. Indeed, Allah has instructed you. Allah has enjoined you what? Allah has instructed you that you remain dutiful, you remain obedient to Him, you remain obedient to His Messenger, and you remain obedient to Ulul Amr. And who are the Ulul Amr? The 12 Imams after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. Ya ayyuhalladhi Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasulah wa ulul amri minkum. That, oh, people that claim belief for them, obey Allah Almighty, obey His Messenger, and obey the people that have command over you, the Ulul Amr. So we reflect upon some of the sayings of Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salatu wassalam. The first one is something that is very close. He says, Al-jahlu khasmun wal-hilmu hikmun. He says your ignorance is your biggest enemy. Your ignorance is your biggest adversary. You can have so many external enemies, you can have so many external opponents that you would have to confront them, but the biggest enemy that you have within you is your ignorance. An-nasu a'da'u kullama jahilu. People are enemy of the things that they don't know about, isn't it? Wal-hilmu hikmun. While forbearance, while your patience, while you not showing your anger is the wisdom that Allah would give to His close and people that He has selected. Now when you reflect upon this saying, you come across a very beautiful incident that happened, not a beautiful incident in a way that what happened with the fourth Imam, but the lessons and the things that you can extract from it. The riwayah says, I think this riwayah, Ibn Shahr al-Shob quotes it in his book Al-Manaqib, if I remember correctly. It says that there was a person that came in and he abused Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam. He did not know who Imam was. He did not know the holy status of the Imam. He did not know the spiritual status of the Imam. He came in and he mocked, he derided and he abused the fourth Imam. So there were companions of the Imam that were sitting next to him. Of course, the companion, they had immense love for the fourth Imam. فَقَصَدَهُ غِلْمَانِهُ. So some of his shagir, some of his companions, some of the people that he was teaching, they run towards that person so that they can attack him and they can teach him the lesson in the Eastern way of teaching him the lesson, right? So as soon as they went to attack him, Imam said, دَعُوهُ. Leave him alone. Abandon him. Do not harm him for whatever he has said. فَإِنَّ مَا قَالُوا فَإِنَّ مَا خَفِيَ عَنَّا أَكْثَرَ مِمَّا قَالُوا. For whatever that he has concealed, whatever is concealed in terms of the sins that he has done, is more than the things that he has demonstrated through his tongue. जो उसने गुनाह किए हैं, they are more than what he had just said right now. ये एक रूहानी मरीज है. Treat him like a person who is going through the spiritual difficulties. Then Mawla, he turned his attention towards that person. I want all of you to focus. Mawla focus and turn his attention towards that person. And instead of scolding him, instead of replying him with the same abuse, what he has done, Imam said, Alaka hajatun. Do you have any need that I can take care of? The riwayah says, فَخَجَلَ الرَّجُلُ. As soon as Imam said these beautiful lines, as soon as Imam said this beautiful sentence, the person became extremely embarrassed, extremely remorseful, whatever action he did. Then Imam commanded the people that were around him to give 1,000 dirham that Imam owned personally. وَأَعْتَاهُ ثَوْبَهُ. And Imam also gave the clothes that he used to wear. So Imam is giving him 1,000 dirham and also give him the clothes that he was wearing. The person, when he returned from the Majlis, the riwayah says that he returned and he was screaming, Ashhadu annaka ibn Rasulillah. I bear witness that you are the son of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sometimes you reflect upon these people, right? How notorious these people were. How notorious. You know, sometimes when you reflect upon the riwayahs are, you know, very, very, like sometimes when you're going across those riwayah, let me quote you one or two. It says that مُدْمِنُ الْخَمْرِ كَعَابِدِ الْوَثْنِ. Anyone who uses drugs profusely, anyone who is addicted to alcohol, is like someone who is worshipping an entity other than Allah Almighty. Shirk कर रहा है. खुदावंद मुताल के मुकाबले में किसी को पूज रहा है, किसी की इबादत कर रहा है. وَالنَّاصِبُ لَنَا أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ شَرٌّ مِنْ هَذَا. But the person who despises us person that has animosity against Al Muhammad, ऐसे शख्स को क्या कहते हैं? What do we say? We say them as Nasibi. But the Nasibi who has the animosity against Al Muhammad alayhi salam, they are worse than the people that are chronically drinking alcohol. Then Mawla gave a reason. وَإِنَّ الشَّارِبَ لَيُدْرِكُ الشَّفَاعَةِ. If there is someone who has the righteous aqidah but he is not good in action, there will be a day ultimately after the hour of the judgment that he would be able to get the shafa'ah. وَالنَّاصِبُ لَنَا أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ. But anyone who has animosity against Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, if there are everyone in the earth and the heaven, if they would intercede to Allah Almighty on his behalf, Allah would never remove him from the hellfire. Yes. And then you have another. मैं बताना चाह रहा हूँ कि मौला को किन लोगों से डील करना पड़ता था. You know, sometimes people, they might not love Al Muhammad alayhi salam the way we do, but no one has this courage, no one has this audacity that they can come and abuse Al Muhammad openly. But during those times, they had that courage that they would come and abuse Imam on his face. But see the reply that Imam would give. You know, your preaching through actions is more worthy than what you would say through your words. We have another riwayah too. This riwayah is beautiful too. It says, this riwayah is from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Wallahi lanashfa'anna, wallahi lanashfa'anna, wallahi lanashfa'anna. Imam said 3 times, by Allah, we're going to intercede. By Allah, we're going to intercede. By Allah, we're going to intercede. The narrator asks, Liman ya yabna Rasulullah, for whom, oh the son of the Prophet? Mawla said, Li shi'atina, for the people that follow us, for the Shias of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Hatta yakulu a'da'una, till a time would come in that our enemies would say, and then Mawla quotes some of the ayahs, فَمَا لَنَا مِنْ شَافِعِينَ وَلَا صَدِيقٍ حَمِيمٍ فَلَوْ أَنَّ لَنَا قَرْوَةً فَنَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. That what has happened to us, these are the enemies of Al-Muhammad saying on the Day of Judgment, that what has happened to us, we do not find any intercessor or mediator for ourselves. We do not find a close companion or close friend for ourselves. Oh Allah, if we are only allowed to go to the dunya one time, we would be one of the righteous people. But at the end of the day, no one would be given chance on the Day of Judgment. When Imam said these words, Imam said at the end, إِذَا كَانَ يَوْمُ الْقِيَامَةِ, when there will be the hour of the judgment, كَانَ شِيعَتُنَا يَأْخُذُوا بِحُزَّتِنَا. Our Shias would be clinging to the rope of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. وَنَحْخُذُوا بِحُزَّةِ النَّبِي. And we, Al Muhammad, the progeny of the Prophet, will be holding the rope of Prophet Muhammad. وَالنَّبِيُّ يَأْخُذُوا بِحُزَّةِ اللَّهِ. And Prophet Muhammad will be clinging himself to the rope of Allah Almighty. See the chain that we have? People following Al Muhammad following Prophet, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the one who is being bestowed with the rope of Allah Almighty. But the thing that I want all of you to focus is that the enemy of Al Muhammad is someone who is looked down upon, who is someone who is very notorious. And we do have fiqh ahkamat too at the end of the day. And that's why we have, the fiqh, any Tawdi'ul Masail, any Minhaj al-Salihin, every marja, every faqih would say that someone who openly profess or declare or manifest his hate for Al Muhammad, he is someone who is called as Nasibi. He is najis like any other disbeliever. Right? But in spite of it though, you see the way Imam had dealt with these kind of people. So this was the first riwayah that is from Imam Hassan ibn Ali al-Askari. 1 or 2 more riwayahs, inshallah, then we would end. 8:05 पे शुरू किया था. Inshallah, I'm going to end within 5-10 minutes. Very beautiful riwayah. Mom, ये रिवायत मेरे दिल के इस वजह से करीब है, because when I look what is happening within the community, when I see what is happening within our people, this riwayah is something which is very, very motivational. It says, Al-mu'minu barakatun ala al-mu'minu wal-hujjatu ala al-kafir. A believer is a source of prosperity. A believer is a source of happiness. A believer is a source of felicity for his fellow believer. وَحُجَّةٌ عَلَى الْكَافِرِ, and he is a proof of Allah Almighty on to the disbelievers. The relationship between the believer should always be very fruitful, should always be very friendly. And I remember when I went to recite a Majlis on Saturday here in Brampton, I quoted this riwayah from Imam Sadiq too, since it's very connected here. Imam said a beautiful line. He says, "Shi'atuna ruhama bainahum." आप जानते हैं रुहमा किसको कहते हैं? आपस में निहायत रहम दिल. Our Shias, our followers, should be the one that should be extremely caring towards each other. When you look what is happening within our people, you would see opposite of it. We are more critical towards our fellow believers. We backbite our fellow believers more than anyone else. We pass very, very bad comments about each other in our private gathering, in our public gathering, about other believers, without understanding that the relationship that Allah has created between you and a fellow believer is so strong that we do have a riwayah, Hurmatul Mu'min a'zamu min Hurmatul Kaaba, that the sanctity of a believer is bigger than the sanctity of Kaaba. Reflect upon it. It's haram to even think that somebody would go and harm Kaaba or would do any physical damage or anything to it. If it's so haram, think about the way we are dealing with the fellow believers. It's very important, my dear brothers and sisters, to have that love. You know, sometimes when I reflect upon the way Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib dealt with Ibn Muljam, what a beautiful way he was dealing with. What a beautiful way. And it was not even only with Ibn Muljam the way Mawla dealt with. Mawla ka ye tariqa was not only with his killer, was with everyone who used to be called as Kharijites. Khawarij, aapko maloom hai. The riwayah says one time Mawla was giving a sermon in Masjid al-Kufa. At that moment, one of the Kharijite, the people that would claim that Ali ibn Abi Talib, na'udhu billah, they would claim something, and I'm going to quote it inshallah. As Mawla was giving the khutbah, Mawla was so eloquent, Mawla was so prolific when he was giving the speech. One of the Kharijite, he stood up and he says, "Qatalallahu kafiran ma afqahuhu." May Allah destroy this disbeliever. How eloquent Ali ibn Abi Talib is. Can you possibly imagine what would have happened? The companions of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Imagine companions of Ali ibn Abi Talib. मौला के चाहने वालों की शुजाअत की मिसाल दी जाती है जंगों में. अगर कोई अकेला खड़ा हो तो उसका क्या हाल होगा? The people, they leaped, the people, they jumped towards that guy to attack him. और काम तमाम करने के वास्ते. मौला से रुवैदा, hold on. إنما السب بسب أو عفو من ذنب. There are two ways to reply and abuse. Either you abuse back, that's one way of replying, and the other way of replying is that you forgive whatever someone has done to you. And Ali ibn Abi Talib says, I'm not going to reply him in his same language, I'm going to forgive him for whatever he said. This was the ikhlaq of whom? Of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhi wassalam. You reflect upon these wordings, reflect upon the things that are being given to us. They did not even just preach it through their words, but they were the ambassadors of good action, of righteous action, of things that you can look forward and apply it and execute it in your life, inshallah. And as we are not commemorating basically, Thursday night, but we do recite some words of musibah too. Kabhi-kabhi jab aap reflect karte hain. You know, I am focusing right now on this point that your actions should speak louder than your words. Words are important, and it's very important. I'm coming on the minbar, I have to speak. But my actions should be the caller towards the path of Allah Almighty than my words. Very important. And when you reflect upon it, there were so many musibah that happened on the day of Ashura. So many of them. But one of them that actually broke the heart of so many of those munafiqeen, of so many of those disbelievers, was the musibah of the 6-month-old baby. I said actions speak louder than the words, right? مولا جب لائے ہیں شش ماہی کو تو چھوٹے بچے کو اپنی ابا کے دامن سے چھپا کر لائے تھے. کربلا کی دھوپ، کربلا کی گرمی، کیا کہنا کربلا کی گرمی کا. لیکن مولا لائے ہیں، اپنے بچے سے کتنی محبت کرتے ہیں. جب بچے کو لائے ہیں نا عزاداروں، تو کافر لشکر سمجھا کہ مولا قرآن لے آئے ہیں صلح کرنے کے واسطے. میں کہتا ہوں قرآن تو نہیں لائے تھے، قرآنی پاروں میں سے ایک پارہ لے کر آئے تھے. جب لے کر آئے ہیں عزاداروں اور ایک التجا رکھی ہے، کیا مظلومیت ہے حسین بن علی کی. یعنی جتنوں نے حملہ کیا ہے بڑے عظیم حملے کیے ہیں، ان سب سے عجیب حملہ شش ماہی کا تھا. جب جاتے ہیں تو کہتے ہیں جانتے ہو تمہاری دشمنی مجھ سے ہے، اس بچے نے کیا قصور کیا ہے؟ اس کی ماں کا دودھ خشک ہو گیا ہے، اگر تم مجھ پر رحم نہیں کرتے تو کم سے کم اس بچے پہ رحم کر لو. عزاداروں جب یہ جملہ کہتے ہیں تو اس وقت جو فوج اشقیہ ہوتی ہے اس میں ایک انقلاب برپا ہو جاتا ہے. لیکن یہ انقلاب اور برپا ہو جاتا ہے جب ایک دفعہ حسین شش ماہی کو اٹھاتے ہیں. مقاتل پڑھنے والے پڑھتے ہیں جب حسین اٹھاتے ہیں تو ایک جملہ کہتے ہیں اے علی اصغر تم حجت خدا کے بیٹے ہو، اپنی حجت کو ذرا تمام تو کرنا. عزاداروں اس وقت ایک ننھا بچہ، ایک چھوٹا بچہ اپنی سوکھی زبان کو نکالتا ہے اور اپنے سوکھے ہونٹوں پر پھیرنے لگتا ہے. عزاداروں یہ سوکھے ہونٹوں پر پھیرنا ہوتا ہی ہے کہ ایک تلاطم برپا ہو جاتا ہے. اس وقت ایک ملعون آواز دیتا ہے یا حرملہ اکتا نزاع القوم اکتا کلام الحسین. اے حرملہ کیا دیکھ رہا ہے؟ اس قوم کے اختلاف کو ختم کر، حسین کے کلام کو تمام کر. عزاداروں اب جو ملعون تیر اٹھاتا ہے، عزاداروں کوئی ایک ایسا تیر نہیں اٹھاتا جو انسانوں کو مارنے کے واسطے لیا جاتا تھا. ایک 3 منہ کے تیر کو اٹھاتا ہے جس سے جانوروں کو مارا جاتا تھا. عزاداروں اب جو تیر چلتا ہے، شش ماہی کی جنگ شروع ہوتی ہے. اب شش ماہا جب تیر کو آتے دیکھتا ہے اپنی ننھی گردن کو اوپر کر لیتا ہے، لیکن کیا کہنا وہ تیر ننھی گردن سے زیادہ وزنی ہوتا ہے. اگر گردن کو من الاذنی الی الاذنی، ایک کان سے چھیدتے ہوئے دوسرے کان سے نکلتا ہے اور حسین کے بازو میں آ کے لگتا ہے. اب بچہ باپ کے ہاتھوں پر منقلب. خداوند متعال, we ask you by giving the wasila Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, Ya Allah, whatever ibadah that we have done, the namaz, Surah Yasin, Dua Kumail and the Majlis, Ya Allah, we have offered you, Ya Allah, please accept in your bargah. Ya Allah, our marhameen, all those names that were manifested on the screen, all the marhameen of the people who are sitting here, and especially the martyrs in Lebanon and the martyrs all over the world that are fighting the tyrants. Ya Allah, we ask you, Ya Allah, that you give them the highest place in the Jannah within the vicinity of Muhammad wa al Muhammad alayhi wassalam. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.